Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so excited to be here with you. I'm happy it's a beautiful sunny afternoon here in Lagos, Nigeria. We have with us Deji Rawo, and we have with us also Adeline Sedikamga from the UK. And we have a lot of people that will be joining from everywhere. Thank you so much. My name is Dayo Oladile Ilori. I'm the convener of Welead. And today we'll be talking about how to raise boys to become excellent men. One of the things that, over the years, there's a lot of focus on the girl child. We've seen so much being done in that space. But with the boys, things have been very slow. It's like, I won't say total neglect, but it's like we assume a lot that the boys are okay. But we have a lot of statistics telling us that things are deteriorating in that angle, and we have to do everything we need to do to arrest the situation. This afternoon, I'll be calling on our speakers. Deji Irawo will go first. Deji, please introduce yourself to the house. Hello, Deji.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you
Yes, we
hear
can
me?
hear you live.
Yes, hello. So
Yes.
good afternoon, everyone. My name is Deji Rao, and I'm a multimedia channel owner and been involved in broadcasting for almost 30 years. And I like to describe myself as a male resource person. I've found myself being interested in the boy child for a couple of years now, and I've spent averaging the past 5 to 10 years just researching the issue of men and boys and trying to narrow in my focus on what you would call emotional male dysfunction and identity crisis. And so that's who I am. I love to have the men conversation, and my desire is to see more wholesome men and boys, living and achieving their dreams and contributing their quota to life, and trying to make the world a better place, for all of us. So that's who I am.
Thank you very much, Isairawa. So Adeline, we want to hear from you. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's a beautiful, beautiful day, and we are happy you're joining us today. It's very important for us to have this conversation, which we are having today. My name is Adeline Sedekamga, CEO and founder of Upbring Media Group. This is media group that deal with everything corporate communications PR, and we also have a lifestyle magazine that we publish on a quarterly basis. We run some excellence in people management program, the corporate awards and corporate women in leadership. And over the last 10 years, we've just been, we've been out there trying to contribute our own, to make the continent a better place. And of course, conversations as the boy child is something that I'm particularly passionate about, because we can't raise, super women if we don't give them supermen. So that's why we're having this conversation today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Adeline. And I must say that Adeline and Deji are both part of this organization. In fact, Adeline is one of our directors, and Deji Rawa is one of our facilitators. He has been everywhere with us, almost every school, every program we've run. Deji has been there to teach, not just to support, but also to teach physically. So thank you so much for all the support. I want to use this medium to thank everyone who has joined us. I see Edward King, I see Esoye Okoje, Olusha Julo, Mushoshoyoye, I see Jumi, I see Ni Adejola, Oladuni Oshinjaye, Olukmilayo Nodipe. I see everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I mean, this is a very pertinent discussion, and I think it's one that will be very rewarding. So right now, I would just give a brief about Welead. Okay, so yes, about Welead, Women for Leadership Empowerment Advancement and Development Initiative is a not-for-profit organization which is focused on empowering women and boys. Oftentimes, people would ask us, why boys? Why boys? And I always also ask them, why not boys? Because we've done girls for so long and we still have the same issues. So why don't we ride with the tide? Our vision is to lead, engage, and impact growth. And our success story is right on your screen. To date, from 2018, actually started in 2017, but we started having our impact in 2018. To date, we have 3,833 impacted, and we have 90% of them are boys. The remaining 10% are caregivers, parents, teachers, and host communities, and also, of course, girls. The courses we've taken so far in the last 24 months, we have taken leadership, emotional intelligence, masculinity and sexuality, delayed gratification, substance abuse, failing forward, time management, goal setting, personal integrity, letter to my son, critical thinking, and when boys cook. I mean, it's been awesome. And we have a lot of testimonies from our teachings. Here are also some of our evaluation and results. Last year, we scored 96% from our evaluation. You can see, I mean, that's like our dashboard. We were able to work with 35 schools last year alone. We worked with 2 correctional centers out of these 34 schools. We worked with 2 universities. And I mean, it's been beautiful. So yes, why have an International Day for Boys? And we've said it many times. Yes, we've done a lot with the girls. What are we going to do with the boys? Who are we raising these strong girls for? We are not just talking about having a husband, having, I mean, it's beyond that. It's beyond being married to a wonderful guy. It's also talking about having a good brother, a good co-worker, somebody who would appreciate you, somebody who would support you. And that's why we think it is beautiful. And 2 years ago, International Day for Boys started May 16th. And it was also started because globally, they're beginning to realize that there are issues with boys. And we have what we call the boys crisis gradually creeping in. So yes, from now, we begin to engage our speakers, raising boys to become excellent men. So I would start with Deji. Raising boys to become excellent men, how will you describe an excellent man?
Well, basically, when we look at the context of being an excellent man, you're basically just trying to describe somebody who's wholesome, a male who has grown from being a boy into being a teenager, and then coming into adulthood. Somebody who is basically wholesome. When you say someone is wholesome, it just means that he's balanced. It means that he's spiritually, he's mentally, he's emotionally, he has well-being, what you call it, achieve a state of well-being. He's not poor in those areas. He's not dysfunctional in those areas. He's been brought up in such a way that he can maximize his full potential. He can become all that he was created to be. So no area of his life is, in dysfunction. Is not lagging behind in his academics. Is not lagging behind in his emotions. He's not underachieving in his academics. In his relationships with himself and with everybody around him, he's doing well. He's having fruitful and successful relationship. So excellent men are men who have just been properly groomed to achieve wholesome, because we normally would say that before spouses get to marry, you need to ask if that person is wholesome, if that person has achieved a state where he's emotionally, physically, mentally, and relationally well balanced, that kind of thing. So yeah. Yes, that's it. He's well balanced. That's what you're looking for. That's what it would mean to having a well balanced life, across board, every nook and cranny of your life.
Okay, thank you very much, Deji. I would like to throw the same question to Adeline, although also from a slightly different angle. So from the perspective of a feminine gender, from the perspective of a female, what would be your description of an excellent man?
Personally, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. Personally, when I look at the men around me, look at the men in my life, and also the men that I interact with, it is very easy for me to spot who an excellent man is and who isn't. This is basically based on how they behave towards me. The level of respect they show, the level of empathy they show, and the way they speak. I'm also looking at how they respect my achievement, not just as a woman, but or as a person, because in an African context, I'll put it that way. Most men grow up to hide and suppress their emotion. They grow up to understand or to know that you don't have to appreciate a woman for who she truly is. So an excellent man is a man who have, basically overcome all this stereotype, is doing the right things that has to take into consideration the other person rather than a me thing. So an excellent man is that man that put everything aside, appreciate when he has to, do the things that he has to, respect when he has to, and is truly there when the need is, when you need him. So excellent men, it could be a broad topic, but to bring that in a very nutshell, is as TJ was saying, is everything that has to do with the emotional place, emotional position where he is at the time, and how he interacts with his environment.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. It's been very nice. So I hear the word balance a lot. I
Yeah.
hear the word balance a lot. I hear um, people who are men who are prepared, emotionally prepared to, you know, live with another woman, live with a fellow man, coexist in a society in a very safe manner, precisely. So yes, quickly, I will go to I would ask the audience also in the comment section, just tell us in bullet points your own description of an excellent man. Deji said he has to be wholesome. That means somebody who is not looking for another person to heal him of whatever he has gone through in life. He's already is prepared to face life. And Adeline said he has looked at men in our life, and she has realized that men who are also balanced, men who are emotionally balanced, are our own description of an excellent man. How would you describe an excellent man? Audience, please leave your comments in the comment section. We'll go to the next question. So the next question is, and I will quickly just talk about certain statistics. So in Nigeria, for instance, and it will be surprising to know that we have more boys out of schools than girls. In fact, out of the total population of uh, kids out of school, children out of school, boys take a 65% of that number. Interestingly, these are figures that are verifiable. These are figures that even UNICEF is privy to. So we are pushing all boundaries towards the girls to succeed while we leave the boys. So today, we have more boys out of school. Also, in Africa, we have the ratio of boys to girls in the correctional center is 3-1. So you find that we have, and it's also evident in Nigeria. We've worked with 2 correctional centers and we have our data. In a single correctional center, when you compare the correctional center for girls to boys, you have almost 3 times the number that you have in the girls center, if not 4 sometimes, to the number in the boys in the boys' home. And then you begin to wonder, when we pretend that, oh, boys are strong, boys are agile, boys do not need to be mentored. I mean, all these statistics show us that no, boys need to be mentored. So I would like to ask Adeline, we all saw those statistics. And also, I also want to quickly just take us back to what happened just before the COVID-19. I mean, in the midst of the COVID-19, in fact, when boys started raiding homes, raiding homes close to them, homes far from them. These are gangsters on the street. We have a number of them. There's different names, 1 million boys, Awawu boys. I mean, it's so interesting. And these are very young boys and girls who just come together and are just terrorizing the environment. And then we tell ourselves, oh, boys are okay. No, even in Nigeria, where we live now, in Lagos as I speak, we have a crisis looming. So Adeline, tell me, what do you think are the causes of the boy crisis? What is causing this
Um,
crisis around us?
Dario, I think I would like to, I would like to point out on this question, there's a lot of conversation going on in the UK, which is a two-sided conversation. You know, most people are saying there's no boy crisis, and others are, are saying there's a boy crisis. So for us to first of all identify what a boy crisis is, it is important for us to understand what a boy crisis is. When we say boy crisis, we simply means it's not, I wouldn't say it's applicable to every boy, but I would say it's applicable to the rate of boys who are into, who have certain issues in life. So I can relate easily to education. you know we are gradually realizing that more men, back in the days in Africa in particular, boys who go to school and girls not go to school. So you will see more men being educated and less women being educated, purely because parents thought, at a certain age, women has to go get married, start making babies, and for that reason, they're not that educated. But if you look at it very keenly nowadays, you see that more and more boys are dropping off uni, they're dropping off school. They're not educated to a certain level that gives them the intellectual ability to understand first themselves as men, secondly the people around them. If there is a crisis, if there is a boy crisis, which I think there is, same as there is a girl crisis, there's also a boy crisis. If there is a boy crisis, it could be easily linked to first the education. The education in this case, I don't just want to limit myself to the school, the educational intelligence from going to school, but I'll think about all those around you and how they have helped to nurture you to become the man that you will be. Today I'm raising a son, but I'm not saying I'm raising a son. I'll say I'm raising a man, because tomorrow I want my son to be at that level where emotionally, educationally, psychologically, physically, he's okay and he's fit to prosper. Some of the issues when I look at the boy crisis, I've pointed out the educational issues, and in this case I'm not just talking about the school, but I'm talking about what we teach them, what the society has made the men or the young boys to expect from themselves. Nowadays everybody want to make money. There's a rush, there's a rush out there to make money. Everybody want to earn money. You want to have the latest iPhone or the latest, the latest gadget to give you the satisfaction that you need at the social level of life. But how do you get this? You can't get this when you're going to school. So you would drop off. And secondly, I'll think about mental, think about the mental health of some of the boys that we raise. And again, I would draw to the fact that what would be the cause of all this? I can look at peer pressure. I can look at what society wants from you. I can look at so many things that can accumulate, and also the lack of emotional intelligence. Most often, we don't teach the boys, how to show empathy, and how to understand, how to look at their environment and understand what is happening. Meaning, we don't tell them or we don't teach them. We expect that they will know. And then there is also the sense of purpose. At first everybody want to be a superhero. I want to be a superhero. I want to be a great leader. I want to be a warrior. I want to be an African warrior. So now, some of these things are fading away. Why are they fading away? They are fading away because now the reality is, I don't want to say the race is for the fastest. No, but the race is for your purpose. Where is the direction? we as parents, we spend so much time taking care of the girl child that we forget that that our male child, our boys do need us. So we don't help, we don't direct them as much as we direct the girl child, So when it comes to the level when the boys started thinking for themselves, they get into that state, they get into that state where they're questioning everything that they've been taught as boys, isn't it? And they're asking themselves, okay, this was my purpose, but is this really where I want to go? This is my, my dream job, but can I achieve this? This is, you just mentioned that more men commit suicide than women. The pressure that the stress, the pressure that we put on our male child is it's just overwhelming. I cannot stress it enough. It is overwhelming. So I think I'll
Yes.
give a break, and and I'll let DG, to take up from there.
Okay, so thank you so much. Thank you, Adeline. So did you tell us here, I know you've done a lot of extensive research,
Mhm.
hands-on experience on the boy child. I mean, you are an authority when it comes to this space. I know you are coming from about two events already. I mean, you are
Yeah.
packed full. So tell us from statistics, what are the triggers? What are the triggers? What causes this crisis in boys?
Well, to answer that question, I need to go back a little bit. Thank you, Adeline, for doing a great job there. Um, when we say boy crisis, it means that we're looking at the lives of boys and we can notice a pattern. And that pattern is absolutely not encouraging at all. Because what we see is that there's a trend that we're realizing that boys are becoming endangered species. And like you've been saying, it's worrisome when, like you said, anywhere in the world, 70-80% of the inmates in prison are boys or men. It's worrisome because mental health globally today has more men going through mental health issues. Also, which follows that more men are depressed globally now than women. It's also worrisome that, men are 3 or 4 times likely more to commit suicide than women. It's also worrisome now that you have more female graduates in the world now than men. It's also worrisome today that you find more women, more employable in middle management and also setting up organizations than men. Now, that lets you know that there's something wrong with that gender. Because if you look at the statistics, it means that gender is not achieving its purpose, it's not being wholesome. And that's enough to understand the crisis that we're dealing with. So what are we really saying? Is to say that, look, when this male child is born, he's not born genetically by, to say that, okay, because he's born a male, that is why he sabotages, or that's why he will end up in jail. No, it is what is said to him. It is how he is raised. It is the fundamental narratives that that he engages when he comes into the world that starts this narrative. No child is born into this world, that comes into the world with genetic codes or dysfunctional, in his genes. It's taught, like we normally would say in psychology. It's taught. Everything is learned. Everything is taught. So what we are realizing is the fact that when boys are brought into the world, they are taught some things, or they are defined in a particular way, or they are designed, or they have socialized. That's what they're socialized in a particular way that ensures that they end up in prison, they end up on drugs, they end up committing suicide. And we call those things basically what we call the negative men, dysfunction. I'll run through 6 of them. Once a boy is born into the world, in most societies, we're going to introduce ideas and perception to him to say this is what it means to be a man. And what we're saying is that those things that are introduced to boys globally that makes them become these statistics we are running is just basic 7 things. Number 1, you're superior to a girl. Second, a girl is your sexual, object of gratification. Thirdly, you can't show emotions, you can't cry. Fourthly, you have to be performance driven. You have to be validated by what people think about you. Fifthly, you have to live large and you know, be very, you know, ostentatious, you know, for us to value you and to, you know, and to celebrate you. 60, you have to be built, you know, and have a physique like a hawk, or you have to be very huge and masculine and do sports to be a boy. And then the last thing, one of the things we tell boys is the fact that, you know, you can use anger to resolve problems. So when you tell boys this thing, which is what we call the man code or the boy code or the man box, when you tell a boy this from age 3 going forward, he will eventually end up in prison. He will eventually end up with mental health. He will eventually commit suicide. He will eventually become performance driven. He will validate himself by how other people think. He will not show emotions, and he will not be vulnerable that he needs for his relationship. His marriage will have issues because they're marrying somebody who is not free to express himself, who has been told that if he's vulnerable or if he shows emotions, it is weakness. He has been told he can't cry. So you're marrying somebody who is bottling up stuff. So you realize that the reason why we say there's a man crisis is because we are realizing that boys globally, men globally, are showing the same symptoms and traits that is ensuring that their lives are cut short, or they're having massive health issues, or they're not becoming wholesome. So it's not as if they are born that way. It's a construct that we imbibe into boys, and that's the reason and the conversation. There's identity crisis, pressure to be man up and all that.
Thank you so much, Dejirawo. You just nailed it. In fact, when you mentioned man box, I was like, oh, you're already looking at our next topic. You're already I mean, he has said it, and you can see it on the screen. I have it. I mean, my own summary of what triggers these issues are: one, identity. We do not give boys identity early enough. The only identity we give them is that male identity. You are a boy. We don't give them that orientation to know that, oh, you would have a family, and this is how you should relate in a family. I'm telling you, if a boy of 7, 6, 7, 8 does not start to change diapers for a younger sibling or a cousin or a nephew or niece, or I mean, you find that when he grows up, he can't then suddenly learn to change diapers. If he has not learned, if he's not domesticated enough to start cooking, knowing that the kitchen is not a woman's office, anybody can cook, it would always be in that box of, oh, I'm expecting my wife to give me food, whether she's working, she's late, whether she's, I mean, without giving a care. Another one is the fact that they don't have a comprehensive sense of purpose. So which is related to the former one I spoke about. It is just about money, money, money. Raising them to work, to deliver results. I mean, there is nothing telling them that there is something after money making. Also, there's a poor understanding of failure, and we usually take that course when we teach boys. Failing forward. It's a very, very intense topic that we take with them. And we let them know that failure is as good as success. Failure is just an opportunity to try again. It doesn't mean you have, I mean, that is not your end. But you see, a lot of boys grew up with the fear of failure. They can't even imagine that they will fail. So, and it's because they have not equipped them to know that failure is just one of the processes that life will take us through. Also, masculinity and sexuality, sex is a big deal for boys. A huge big deal. By the time your boy is turning 13, don't pretend that he doesn't have feelings. Some people will say, oh, if my son has an erection at that age, you feel, oh, he has started seeing a girl. No. What is normal is normal body process for him to have an erection. It is just that feeling that we need to channel the feeling right and let them know that, yes, you have this feeling. You're attracted to the female gender, but it's not time to explore. But these are some of the things we live in denial. Another one that is crucial is the fact that a lot of boys are going through mental illness, which very subtle, nobody's addressing it. So when they behave in certain ways, we believe, oh, boys will always be boys. No, boys will not always be boys. It's a false statement. Boys will be what we make them become. They will be what we tell them. So if a boy has a mental issue, you don't expect him to behave in a proper way. I mean, the behaviors will will not align with our expectation. But we will live in denial because we think, oh, boys will always be boys. The last one, which is almost, very important, is the father figure. It is on record from statistics that over 70%, 85% of boys in correctional homes are boys who didn't grow up with a father figure. I use father figure carefully because somebody who has lost his father cannot manufacture one. But there are always male role models who these boys can emulate. So if a woman has a brother who is also a drunkard, or who is a womanizer, or who is not ready to work, who just lays around, that is the kind of model this boy will continue to see. So that's part of father figure, very important. Very, very important. Thank you very much. Quickly, we'll go to our next question. And Adeline, you have the floor. As parents, caregivers, and as a woman, how have we contributed to the crisis we have today? And let me give you an intro. There is a way we raise boys that is dysfunctional. How are we as mothers, as the female gender, how have we contributed to it?
Thank you, Dayo and Deji. I think, Deji, you made some truly interesting points, and your points truly hit home, and they just synchronized so perfectly in the next, in the question that Dayo just asked. I want to pick on the word to use. Was it the boy code? Is that how you called it? The boy code.
Yeah, the boy code.
Yes,
I think that is everything wrong that we've done. Man box, boy code. Yeah. I think that is everything wrong that we've done. Sometimes we as parents, we fail to see. I keep telling my friends that the lockdown that we've had in the last 2 months has truly opened my eyes with regards, because I have an 11-year-old boy, and it has opened my eyes, to look at my son as a young child growing who needs help and who needs me. Because I spend so much time in school and we spend so much time at work, we don't usually find that balance, that time to sit with them or to observe them and see the kind of boys that they are. Sometimes we might go to parent meeting and the teacher might say this or that, and we'll tell ourselves, oh, that is not my son he was talking about. That is just a boy, or that teacher is biased. But now with this lockdown, we tend to see some of these things that fortunately we can address them now because they are younger and they can pick up the good things that we need. So where I feel we fail as parents is when we don't listen to our boys. We don't listen to them, because sometimes we might hear them speak, but we don't listen to. We are so distracted. I'm a typical example. Don't let him hear. But we focus too much on the different things that do not add value to their lives. We are always on our phone. We are always on one phone call or the other, one social media platform or the other. We don't listen to them. The fact that you're not listening to your boy child or to your child, it creates a room for failure in the future automatically, because there are certain aspects that you are going to miss out, and that void will never be filled because you were never there when they needed you anyway. There is something that you've mentioned, TGS mentioned a lot, emotional intelligence. We don't Emotional intelligence is not something that you get up in the morning and automatically, wow, I'm so intelligent emotionally. No, this is something that you teach someone how to develop. You cultivate it, isn't it? You cultivate emotional intelligence. You get them to see exactly. But as parents, because we don't pay too much attention or that much attention to our kids, we fail to teach them how to identify when they hurt someone's feelings. That means empathy. They don't have empathy. Then sometimes we don't we look at the relationship they have with their sisters or their friends, and we might identify lack of respect, and we don't address some of these things. And then so often we say we appreciate, we praise them too much, we spend our whole time saying, oh, my king, my hero, my the best basketballer, the best footballer, you are the superman, you are this, you are that, you are that. We fail to appreciate efforts and we appreciate talent a lot. That way we skip the basic things that we need to do as parents and go straight to the to the other area. So where we fail is when we misplace our priority. um we don't give them that purpose. We don't let them see the purpose. We don't involve them in conversation. We don't involve them in chore, as Dayo was saying. You need to, at the younger age, you need to make sure you instill some of these skills, some of these, they have to understand they're part of a household, and they should do the things that create a household. So as parents, where we fail is we fail to give them the tools that they need to become excellent men. And these tools are very simple. We fail to correct them when they make mistakes. We fail to appreciate their effort. We spend most of our time criticizing them. Why aren't you first in your class like this person's child? Why aren't you? We judge them. And as Dio was also saying a minute ago, we don't tell them, the changes that happens, that occur in their body. We shy away from conversations that otherwise is very important. For example, when your son is hitting puberty, there are these things that occur. There are that I think I was discussing this with you a few weeks ago, but there are these changes that the body undergo. And
Yes.
as a parent, you need to sit with your child and tell your child so that he develop the confidence, in dealing with some of these issues and actually making sure, psychologically, emotionally, and physically, he is ready to deal with all these changes and all these things. So yes, we do fail them, but I'm sure as a parent we try, and we don't go out trying to say I want to fail my son. No. But because if we don't understand some of these things that affect young men when they're growing up, if we don't understand the need for quality education, needs for emotional intelligence, needs for respect, needs for being part of the house, working, washing the dishes or doing whatever, vulnerability, let them know that it's okay, they're just another human being. Let them know that yes, you're my hero, but there are certain things that you need to do in order to, so yes, we fail them sometimes, but there are a lot of things that we can do to make sure we bring them up to speed. So
Thank you very much, Adeline. And yes, it's okay for boys to be vulnerable. It's okay for boys to cry. It's okay for boys to express emotions. I know a lot of times when our boys break down and they're crying, you hear things like, "But you're a boy, man up, man up."
man
There's
up.
nothing like man up.
Exactly.
Leave them to express their emotions. They're human beings. Don't let them bottle up those feelings. So I will quickly go to Deji. So Deji, also tell us from this angle, as a father, as an uncle, as a male, do you agree with the school of thought that boys are also victims? That boys are also victims. Do you agree? If you do, tell us about it.
Well, it kind of nosedives into what I said before, that if you look at the man crisis, you will understand that boys are obviously victims of the fact that it's like somebody bringing you into the world, and then the person determines for you how you are going to go. There's already a pre-laid code for how you are going to live your life, either you agree or not. So you're not given the choice to pick the kind of destiny you want to have, out of various options. You are told that this is who men are, this is what men do, and then you just have to fit in. When we ask people who is a man or who is a boy, nobody talks about the fact that is a part of a human, is a human being that deserves to achieve his purpose and be successful in his layer relationships he will find himself. You just begin to hear that, oh, he's a provider, he's a giver, he's a protector. You begin to call his roles, but nobody zeroes down and says he's a human being who deserves to be loved and also, has the opportunity to also love other people in his life. So that becomes the foundation of what this narrative is. If I may digress a little bit, because we live in Africa, where and Adeline also said, obviously from a background in Cameroon, she can identify with, some of these things. You see, the sad part about it is the fact that women who complain today about, how men are, so violent and all the things we do, we find out that boys were not raised in isolation of women. These same boys were raised in our homes. So we should all take responsibility for the quality of boys and men we have in society. So if they are violent, if they are sexually abusive, if they're emotionally abusive, we all created this narrative. So I'll give you a few, stuff. Women are also part of that conversation that, what are you doing in the kitchen? You're a boy. It is not a place for boys. Go out of the kitchen, go out of the kitchen. You have that happen in a lot of homes around Africa where the boys are told, just go and sit down. Your sister would come and serve you like a king. She'll come and be the one to, take care of you. She'll come and be the one to wash your clothes. I mean, I know the situations where older girls are washing clothes for their younger boys. And then the whole mentality of women saying, whenever you give birth to a boy child, is something of esteem, is something of pride. You feel good, your in-laws and everybody celebrates it. And so subconsciously, we use birthing a boy child to mean that you're a strong woman, you're a fulfilled woman, you are giving birth to a boy. But what are you saying to the girls that you're giving birth to? That they are not important, that they are not special? And then we also have women also who are part of this narrative of, my son, why are you crying? Are you not daddy's girl, mommy's big boy? Are you not mommy's big boy? Why are you crying? You should man up. So women are also part of this narrative. We all join hands together and I allow this very archaic and very dysfunctional habits to run in boys. For example, I'll give you an example. When that boy does not enter into the kitchen with you to begin to learn how to cook, to begin to learn how to get water, to begin to learn how to go to the market, what we do not know most of the time is that we are training our girls to pick up social skills that they would need the rest of their life, that the boys are not being exposed to. So the girl that's going to the market, the girl that's multitasking, taking care of her younger one, she's building capacity. She's building skills. She's knowing how to multitask. She's knowing how to do various in project management, resource management, negotiations, going to the market. She's building strength. She now gets to marry a boy who has just been raised, to be at home while the sister does all of this. And then you want them to marry. You will now say that, the lady should be submissive to her husband, where she clearly has capacity. We're not saying you understand? Because you have not brought two individuals together, and one obviously has more capacity than the other one. And then you will not create crisis for them because the person who has the capacity is supposed to be the one to submit or to work to be under the leadership of somebody who doesn't have that capacity. So we found out that the way we bring up boys, collectively as both male and female, is part of the problem. What do women do? We just allow them to continue. We just allow them to continue building the narrative in terms of the way it is. So for the men part, we don't believe in relating with our boys. That's the men part. Most African men find it insulting to sit down with their son and start talking about life. I mean, when we were growing up, you are seen, but you are not heard. And it's the same thing many people are passing down to their generation now. But your boy child is seen, not heard. He's not supposed to be around you. You're supposed to show up and he will run away. So how are you supposed to relate with him? How are you supposed to speak with him? How are you supposed to mentor him? He now begins to, run through life by himself, trying to figure things out by himself because there was no father, there was no mentor, there was no uncle to be there for him. So both the father and the mothers, we have joined hands together and we have created this apology that we have, and we should all take full responsibility for it.
I truly like your inputs. That's taking it to a wider perspective, to a bigger perspective, and incorporating a lot of things that sometimes we just sit behind and we fail to see some of these things. But coming from a man, I feel you've just pressed that button. You've just pressed that button, and I believe everyone who's watching us today will take home some of the advice that you've just given me in particular.
Now, so Adeline, you know something. Adeline, you know that today, when you want to get a job, when they interview you for that job, men and women, they interview them for the job. You realize that the final stages of these jobs are going to people who have more emotional intelligence. It's not just being
Absolutely.
skilled. Yes. So the boys
Absolutely.
come in disadvantaged from day one
Yes.
because the girls are the ones who have been allowed to have emotional intelligence. What
Yes.
do you do today that you don't need emotional intelligence? As a parent,
Exactly.
as an executive, as a co-worker, you need emotional intelligence in every area of your life. So
You
when you
do.
raise boys not to have it, you already disadvantage them. Which is why, if for example in Nigeria, if you put out an advert for a job, if you put out an advert for a job in Nigeria today, you will find nothing less than 60-70% female applying for that job and 30% male. And trust me, that job is most likely going to a female, especially when it comes to management and middle management. It's going to a female. Why? When you're looking for what you're looking for, the girl child is the one that has built capacity. She's the one that has developed soft skills. She's the one that has emotional intelligence. And so, I mean, obviously, we know where the job is going. So we're the ones creating this crisis. And we need to be honest with ourselves that we just can't continue to play with the fact that our boys need to be raised wholesome and to have emotional intelligence.
I think I'll commend you for the work that you do with the boys, because looking at the way you've approached this question, I can clearly tell you that things are changing. Back in the days, it used to be worse. You need to have a lot of these things coming up, and we won't notice. But now with our generation of leaders, or our generation of men and women, we can now see some of these trends, and I think we can try and see how to address them. So the different efforts that we put in, the different things that we're doing, is very important. And I feel you when you say, majority of the people go in for a certain role, for a certain job advertised as woman, and that women have more emotional intelligence. Back in the days, we used to say women are weak. We used to consider emotional
Woman yìí lọ
intelligence
ó
as
ti
being,
lọ
you
ìròjọ́
know,
yẹn.
but right
Òun
now
kò
we
tún fẹ́
know
lò mí
it's
torí kò
not.
exactly.
Right now we know women are not weak. We know women are purely women, and women are being emotionally intelligent, and that is what now I feel we should start a lot of conversation on emotional intelligence, because it's a new era in Africa in particular. It's a very new era, and many people don't know what it means. Many people don't know what it
Mm,
means. They feel
mm.
emotional intelligence is, being too affectionate, being no, but it's just understanding your environment, knowing when to switch, when to wear which hearts, and how to deal with some of these issues. Yeah. So I think Dayo is back. We lost her for a minute. Hi Dayo, are you there?
Break, a data break. Okay, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes, Dayo. I think
Yes,
you
we can.
you have to mute
Yeah.
the mic of the participants, because some of them, their mics are on, and we can hear them at the back. You can hear the back people. So the participant online, if you can
Okay.
please turn off your mic, just mute your mic, and then you can let your mic on when you want to ask a question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I can see new participants. I can see Mrs. Adioshu. Thank you so much. I can see another person here. 1 minute. Yes, I can see Aderunke Azunobi. Thank you so much. And I can see our wonderful board chair.
Ooh.
He's here with us. Adesola Shotande Peters. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, these are the wings beneath our wings. People who have pushed us, who have propelled us to succeed. She's been leading this team for 3 years now, and she's done it very well. And I can tell you, when we are at meetings, when she starts to drill you, you understand that yes, indeed, you're dealing with an executive. Thank you so much, Isala. So yes, back to our question. How can we raise boys that will become excellent men? Boys that will grow up to respect women as partners. Yes, Adeline.
Oh, sorry, was that for me? Oh, thank you, thank you. I think that your this question is a great question because it wraps up, it's a solution. It's a solution. We're trying to see or to look for solutions. And to be honest, I'm very aware that I wear a size 7, my shoe size, and it wouldn't fit you because maybe you are a size 6. So the first thing we need to do is I personally, I'll encourage every parent, every sister, every uncle, and every aunt, every relative to understand. The first thing is to understand your son, understand your son, and always have it in mind that you're not raising boys, but you're raising men. Looking in 30 years time, or say in 20 years time, how would you like your son to be accepted in the community, in the society? What are the expectations that you will want from him? What are you going to say, or what are you going to do when you see he is going the other way? So I think the preparation starts now. In order for you to see in order for you to see in the boy or in the man, you have to start now. You have to plant your seed now. So I want to pull on the respect aspect. We should all start with respect. You need to teach them how to respect. You need to teach them how to respect their environment, to respect the girls, to respect the man. So it shouldn't be boys respect girls. No, but it should be respect is something that, irrespective of who you are, whether you're a man or a woman, that you should instill in your boy child. The next thing that you have to do is you need to make sure right now you get them to participate in the little things that makes you comfortable, that makes you happy, that instills some value. So we've talked about the chore. Get them to do the dishes, get them to fold the dresses. Also, you need to let them understand that it's okay to be to show your emotion. It's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to 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 say when something is not right, when you're hurt. And we shouldn't suppress their feelings. We shouldn't suppress their emotion at all. Another way, what I'll say is we should cultivate the habit of conversing with our sons or our little cousins or nephews, or we should talk with them. We should try and understand what they're going through. Sometimes it is hard. I've got 2 kids almost the same age. It's so easy for my daughter to come to me and say, "Hey mom, this is how I feel." But with my son, it is truly difficult. But we as parents need to keep hammering. We need to keep asking that question that is important. When you feel it's your child, you can see when he is down. Always go up to him and say, "I feel you're not feeling all right. Is this something you want to talk about?" And make sure you choose the right timing. You don't just go, you know, anytime. Make sure you have the perfect timing and you ask the right question and get him to open up. Also, we have to praise his efforts and not his talents. Of course, the talent part will come, as I said, but we need to make sure we praise his effort, and we need to make sure maths, English, education, if there is any basic things that they need to know now, is encourage him to read a lot of books, encourage him to solve a lot of math issues, and of course respect for women. I mean, I've talked about respect for everybody, but then respect for women is very important. So yes, Tayo, those are some of the points
Thank
that
you
I can
very
I can
much,
pull, you know.
Adeline. Thank you very much. Very soon we will be going into the question and answer session, which will just
Mhm.
take about 10 minutes because we also want to hear from you. Um, Deji, briefly, tell me how can we raise? But and I know these questions will still come up when people are going. I mean, just raise your hands. We will mute you. You'll be able to talk to us.
Mhm.
Deji, how can we raise boys to become excellent men? Just give me a sentence before the questions start rolling in.
Well, this question you have asked to give one sentence to it is very tough. But I,
It's a big
but, I,
deal.
but yeah, because because this is where the meat is. So I'll be as brief as I can. Number one, we normally ask women, and we also, or like you know, ask men as well. But I want to ask the women in this platform: can your daughter marry the kind of boy you are raising in your home? Can your daughter marry the kind of boy you are raising in your home and you be comfortable with it? If not, then that means you are not been raising your boy well. So at the end of the day, if boys are going to lead at home, if boys are going to lead at various strata of life, in businesses, in government, in different places, in homes, in families, then it's not a mean job. It's not a less job. It's a very important job. You know, to bring a child into this world and to marry a woman is responsibility. So you don't give that kind of responsibility to somebody who is not capable. So you are raising a future leader, future husband for somebody, future father for somebody. That's a responsibility. So you need to ensure that that boy will do a very good job when he becomes a father, a husband, a leader, a governor, a president tomorrow. So you have to model for them the kind of men you think you need to be. And there's a lot to learn from their mothers, and there's a lot to learn from their fathers. So at the end of the day, you know, what we need to do is, so all these things we notice, we need to ensure that we begin to help them, to make sure they honor women, they respect women, they understand what it means. Like everything Adeline said, I totally agree with. Make them they're domesticated, praise their efforts and not just their talent, talk to them, listen to them, honor them. But it is key for you to know you need to start now. Raising leaders that would respond, not react, is intentional and is consistent. Those are the two words I want to run away with. If you know the kind of husband, the kind of boy you want to raise, you need to start now. The schools they go to needs to be intentional. The time you spend with them needs to be intentional, and you need to be consistent. And that is the way you raise kind of boys who will be great fathers and great husbands tomorrow.
Absolutely.
My 2 cents. Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Intentional and consistent.
Yep.
So I will just quickly share 2 stories briefly. One, when we went, we walked into correctional centers. The last one where we worked is the Sherry, and I remember one morning it was raining. I mean, it's always tough going to teach this, but it's almost every Saturday. Sometimes we run for 12 weeks, and we walked in, and one of the boys had just won a scholarship to study in Ukraine. A boy at the correctional center, a boy that seemingly has lost connection with their family, and some of them are like that. A boy that dropped out of the university. I don't know how it happened. And it was, I mean, the government took him to Abuja. He processed his visa and all of that, and he's gone to study. A boy from a correctional center. And when we taught at the regular schools, that's regular secondary school, Education District 6, we also saw the flip side of boys who are coming from home, who also have issues. I mean, teachers brought boys to me who were already drug addicts. And so, and all I could do, I mean, when you are faced with such boys, the first thing I did was even to just give them a chop knuckle. Why are you doing this? I mean, and these are boys who are coming from home. So those are the flip sides. And we say, how can we raise boys to become better men? We are going to open this conversation to participants. If you have a question, a comment, please raise your hands. We'll be taking it one after the other. You can use the participants button, and you can raise your hands from there. If you have a comment, a question, please. A comment, a question, an addition. Okay, so let's go on with the last part of our presentation. I'm just going to tell you can be a part of Welead. Welead is a not-for-profit. We just come together to, you know, make.
There's a question, Dayo, from Olof Pimiro. There's a question. Yeah. We need to
Okay.
unmute her so that she can ask her question.
Okay.
Okay. Hello.
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 Yes.
Good afternoon, ma.
Good afternoon. Yes, I've been following since we started, and I can tell you I'm quite impressed with what I'm hearing. But I just want to add one or two things, especially, well, I have one for the women on this group, and I have one for the men. You see, the boys we are raising, a lot of us, we raise boys and we make them feel that they are better than the girls. Where if your children are still young, fine, it's a good time to raise them properly so that you will raise the kind of men that you want your girls to be married to. And for the men particularly, because one thing we have discovered is that when boys are growing and they see their mothers being ill-treated by their dads, by their fathers, they seem to lose respect, number one, for the women, and then even for the men. They see the men as animals. Maybe you beat your wife, you beat their mothers. So, and little by little, they develop this hidden hatred for their fathers, because boys tend to protect their mothers more. And when their fathers are treating their mothers, they tend to have this secret hatred for their fathers, which they will never talk about. And if they had the chance, I can tell you, they will kill that man without batting an eyelid. Or they will do something terrible to their father because he ill-treats their mothers. So let's look at it, let's look at that area. And then, of course, a lot of us, a lot of we women, which has been said, we don't treat our boys the same way we treat our girls. We don't let them do house chores. We hardly let them do anything by themselves. See, I see that quite a number of people on this on this meeting are still young parents. Please, let's look inwards and let's start doing the right thing. Don't let them see girls as sex objects. Let them see them as equals. Because like the Mr. Irawa was saying, that when we have interviews, you find out that most times the girls get employed faster than the boys, because girls can multitask, unlike the boys. Even the men, when men are watching Arsenal, there's nothing else they can do. While the women, when we are in the kitchen making dinner, we are helping a child with homework. At the same time, you are cleaning and maybe setting dining table at the same time. Women have been raised to multitask, unlike the men. So if your boys are still young, and if your girls are still young, please let us train them properly. And as we do so, the Lord will help us. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you so much, Mama Nodipe.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I mean, you've been a pillar of support. I can't even begin to, our journey starts from our counseling meetings, and then we went to the district where she retired from. It's been wonderful. Thank you so much. We have a question here, which says, please, how do you get your boy to communicate? My son is not the talking type, just like his dad. That is coming from Mrs. Oshinjaye. Yes, please, Deji, can you address that question? How do I get my boy to communicate? He's not the talking type like his dad.
Okay. It means that the boy has picked up, he's been excellently mentored by his dad because he's not talking like his father doesn't talk. Because like we normally would say, boys would reflect what they see around them. What you need to do basically is that is not a nature to him. I need you to understand that it's what he's seeing that's making him dovetail towards that nature. So what you want to do basically is to find time to connect with your son and to be able to make him very comfortable to be able to express what he needs. Like we normally would tell people, two things you need to create around boys or men to get them to talk. Number one, you have to create a non-judgmental environment around them. It's very key. You need to be able to let them know that, you know, whatever they say will not be used against them, or there's no shame. You don't shame boys when you're trying to get them to talk. That's key. Then another thing, you know, for if you want a boy to begin to come out and talk, like we normally would say even for the adults, find his area of interest. If it's sports, if it's science, if it's technology, blah, 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 you know, get into that world with him, create rapport, you know, in that world with him. He will come out, and then you can now begin to have other conversations with him. But those are the two major things we normally would tell parents to try. Number one, create a non-judgmental environment around him, create time to actually connect with him. But then the context of that connection will be that you have identified his area of passion, his area of talent, his area of what can get him going, what inspires him. It will always be something. If it's academics, if it's sports, if it's technology, whatever it is. So once you come into that world with him, he's more comfortable to begin to talk gradually, and then from there you can take it.
Can I add? I want to add something small to that. I want to add
Okay,
something
Yes.
small
Adeline.
to that. I feel sometimes we think boys don't need affectionate support. As parents, I truly want to emphasize that you have to show emotion, affection. You know, you need to give him all the kisses, you need to give him all the hugs, you need to give him all the love. And as TJ say, you need to look for the areas where you feel he is, you know, that is his area of interest. And once you find that area of interest, you need to strengthen his self-confidence, because sometimes it's an issue of confidence. By strengthening his self-confidence, you have to appreciate the things that he does. You know, by appreciating the things that he does, it means you have to be involved, you have to be present in his life, you have to listen to him, listen to what he says. I started today by saying sometimes we don't listen to our sons, we don't listen to them, and it's a big problem. I mean, I have that issue with my son all the time, and I make a mental note all the time that from tomorrow I'm going to start listening. It is very important. Once you start listening to them, and you're repeating their questions or repeating the things that they say to you, you start slowly. You know, we cannot just say like his dad. You know, we cannot say that. And as TJ said, maybe his dad has mentored him, but we should try and get him see his own personality, because we all have our personalities.
Exactly.
You know, we need to see,
Yeah.
look for ways to bring out his personality so that he becomes confident, he becomes competent, he does the things that you know, that will make him feel very happy, and automatically you will see him, you know, loosening up and being involved and being there. So
Okay, thank you so much, Adeline. So, Dejira Deji said we should create an environment where it's non-judgmental. We should also show interest, give them, expose them to other interests, arts, whatever they like to do that is outside academics. And also, Adeline has said we should give them all the kisses and the hugs, be affectionate.
True.
When you show love to a boy, it's easy for them to reciprocate. When you hug, and I try to do that a lot, intentionally hug, give pegs, make them very comfortable so that these things are not strange to them. Another question we have here says, what do you do in situation where the man of the house believe that he was properly raised and see no reason for a change in the way to raise boys? That's huge. Okay, let me give it to Adeline. Adeline starts, then Deji can then complete it.
Well, I think we all live. I mean, I have to be honest here. We all live in a world whereby we know when someone is properly raised and someone is not properly raised. And to be honest, you will not marry someone that you feel they don't have the value that synchronizes with yours. So with regards to properly raised, I will want to say there's always a chance that you will marry someone that you love, and the very things that you fell in love with are the values or are the things that you want to see in your son in the future. So if a man believes that he's properly raised, as you know, as your question um suggest, then I will want to say, first things first, if he is a man of the house and you are the woman of the house, you should let him know that yes, you were properly raised and that is why I got married to you. But then you should also let him know that right now, over the years, you have nurtured or you have developed in some areas or reduced in some areas. So you might want to pick on the little areas, the little things that he's doing, which you feel it is not the right attitude, and address it with him. Because sometimes we grow into something else, we grow into somebody else without really knowing. So if you've been married to this person or if this person is your partner, you will need to look into those things that have changed, because trust me, the minute you say I'm going to get married to this man is because 90% or 70% of the things that he does you like, and the other 30% or 40% are the things that you can cope with or you can live with. So there's no two ways for me to answer that question except being honest in real life situation, like in my real life situation. Yeah. But I think TJ might
Okay.
have a much more, man
Yes.
approach to that.
Deji.
Funny enough,
Deji, this is that
Adeline,
I
Adeline,
see a hand. I see a hand up. I will call after Deji answers this question. I see Aderunke Azonobi's
I think,
hand up. Thank you
I
very
think,
much. Once Deji
I think,
answers this question, you have the floor.
I think Adeline answered that question very well. I think she did. And the only thing, I can add, I mean, she just did an awesome job, because we can't say that you didn't see values in your husband before you married him and obviously want to see that value in your son. So I think she answered it very well. But the only other thing is that I like to say to women that, look, since all of us are involved in raising these prints, and I'll be honest with you, as a man coach and a man resource person, I get to sit down with mothers a lot who give me this question. And I say to them, you know what? Have that conversation with your husband. But while you are getting him to come around and see reason with you, please just create time, like Adeline said, build confidence in your son. And like you said as well, just begin to, you can't play that role entirely, but whatever you can do, don't wait for your husband entirely, for this to be resolved. I mean, start from where you are while you're having this conversation with your husband and believing that, he will see reason with you, and then, you partner to raise this boy. But if, that is his current state of mind, please give that boy all the confidence in the world. Give him all the hugs, give him all the kisses, create time to go to his football. Just be there at the end of the day, and if there was no biological father now, then we would have said probably to, look for a mentor, a male role model. But since there is a father, there's no better person to play the role as a father. But while you're having everything at least said with him, you can start the conversation, and your husband obviously will meet you up at some point.
Okay, so Madam Aderunke Azonobi, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I'm very happy to join this. I started from the beginning. I have 3 boys.
Wow.
Great.
I have 3 boys, and I grew up as a tomboy myself anyway, so I think God favored me and just gave me boys.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So one of the things I try to teach them, I've been able to learn more here, and always try to teach them. Maybe as yesterday, I was telling them they need to learn to respect themselves, the way they talk to themselves in the house, sometimes of outside. At times when you call them, yes, they'll be like, are you fighting yourself? And one of the things I taught them again is I try to make them to know that women are not slaves. They are supposed to be like a friend and your helper. We're supposed to be like in agreement together. So I try to tell them that don't look for your mother and your wife. I tell them they should not look for me in their wife because once in a while I blow my trumpet. I know I'm a very good mother and a good wife. So I'm trying. I'm still a work in progress. So I try to tell them to learn to speak up. My children, they talk a lot, but with their father, they get to be shaky once in a while. Like at times they're like, we tell him now, he will not believe us. I said, just try your best and talk. And so many times I see myself playing the role of the father, role of the mother, and I'm trying to bring my husband to like, listen to these children, don't just talk. When are we going? And the children will like, mommy, it's okay. And it got to a point that the father also will like, hey, they listen to you. And I'm like, they want to listen to you, want to have conversation with you. But the way you come alone is like, we call him the soldier. You're like the soldier in the house. But I thank God that this lockdown, he's been able to relax. And then so many things are forming. So one of the things I try to teach my boys is that let your wife, if you want to marry, let them have a job. Let them express themselves. Have friends that you people think towards achieving a goal. Not that we're just moving about. We're just moving about. Boys in the hood. I teach them to have vision. It's true now. It's not boys in the hood. I try to teach them to have visions, and I take my time to play football with them a lot. We play football. I jump on their bed.
That's good.
Yeah, we play football. I always have some videos. We play football, and
Wow.
My firstborn cooks like, if I cooks more than me, this holiday even taught me so many things I don't even know how to make, and so many things. And I'm trying. I'm so glad I'm here. I've learned so many things again.
Thank
I even tried
very
to link my
much.
husband up. I hope he hears. So thank you,
Thank
mommy,
you.
for that woman that spoke to us first. I'm learning a whole lot again. And we know we're
Thank
going
you
to be all right.
much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Adironke.
very, very much. I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I think one of the things that I picked from what she said, which is why we are having this conversation, is because when we start the parenting journey, a lot of us were not equipped. I attended a counseling session just for, I think, 2 hours for the whole of my wedding, for the whole of my marriage. And you
Wow.
can imagine what I was taught in 2 hours. So these are some of the issues. People didn't go into parenting with the full knowledge of what it takes to raise children. And that's why we are having this session. Thank you so much. There's another question here. And before I go on with our questions, thank you very much for our friends on Facebook Live. Thank you so much for joining. Please leave your comments on the comment section. Thank you so, so much. So quickly, we have another question here. What do you do in a situation where the man, okay, I think we've answered that question. The next one is privately asked. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you so much. My question, how do you teach our boys to handle peer pressure? Though you train them, but then they get mixed up, they mix with people outside, they want to flow with their peers. Basically, how do we manage boys when it comes to peer pressure? Yes, Deji. I think we took that class at the last session we had at the
Deji, I think you should start
yes,
that one.
500 boys, 500 boys project in Lagos State. We took peer pressure. Please tell us, how do you think boys can handle peer pressure? And before we go on, peer pressure can be positive or negative. So please let's have it in mind that peer pressure are not particularly just negative. So
well, if it is positive, then there is no problem. It doesn't need to. It just needs to flow. You know, he has found a community of people who are encouraging him, or for lack of a better word, they are pushing him. He has found a community of guys who are doing things he wants to do, and is being positively influenced, and it's the power of influence. And you know, at that level, you as a parent are not afraid of who is hanging out with, who are his friends. You know, the pressure is for him to do better, to become better, to read better. I mean, you say, oh, these guys are doing better than me, or I can see how they're moving, or I want to be like this. That's positive, that's a problem. It's the negative peer pressure that we have an issue with. And we will have an issue with it because many times, like, you know, it just goes back to what Adin, you know, said. It's from a very young age, you begin to ensure that your children do not have an identity crisis. We need to be able to make sure that as our children are growing up, we are very sensitive to everything Adeline is saying in terms of their development, because you don't know how we or the world or people around them are communicating low self-esteem, poor self-image, and an identity crisis to them. Because if that's happening and we're not noticing, they will get into a space where they think they need to become something, they need to do something to be validated, to be acknowledged, and to be loved. So, which is why I fall back to what you and Adeline, talked about in terms of, building confidence in your son from a very young age. Because why? He will get to that phase where, society will test how much capacity has built in the area of being confident in himself. And if you have a shaky confidence in yourself, you will have issue of peer pressure, because you will now want to become who you are not to please them. Somewhere in the back of your mind, they become the target you want to meet, not the other way around, because somewhere along the line, who you have raised is now being tested by a different set of values. And if those boys are able to convince your own son that his own set of values are not good, he will want to shift. But if you have raised a son who knows who he is, his identity is in place, his set of values, he will not change for anything. He's begun to understand what it means to have core values and things like that. Then that is what you do. You see, when we are building boys, we normally will say that there are 6 stages from birth to when we call him a real man. And at the end of the day, those areas are key. Let me quickly just do a good one. Number one, when you bring back to a child, the first thing you want to do is identity in him. Secondly, you need to start ensuring that he understands what it means to be able to accept responsibility. And then you also need to move him to a point where he needs to understand what it means to be accountable. Accountability is what you start young. Being responsible is what you start, which means you're not too young to begin to give you tutors. H2, H3, put this down, do this one, or you move this from here, or you sweep this place. You are teaching something. Identity, you continue, you remind your son who he is. This is the home you come from. This is the values of this home. This is the culture of this home. This is how we do things, the way we do things, and stuff like that. Then you move him also to the point where you start teaching him independence. You leave him alone to go and do a sleepover, watch how he takes care of himself, what he takes there and what he brings back, how he's able to manage a project at home by himself. Okay, I'll give you responsibility for mowing the garden. Let me see how you do it. And then from there, you move into a place where you build up. So by the time he begins as a teenager to be exposed to other boys, he has built values. He has built a confidence. He has built self-esteem. He has built a very positive self-image of himself. So when he meets boys who now want him to become something else to please them or to please them, he will say no. He will even come at home and discuss it with you and say, what's happening here? So those are very key things that you do. But building identity, building positive self-image, building strong self-image, making him accountable, making him responsible, making him independent, letting him know that, okay, he's not too young to begin to try and craft like a vision statement for himself, where him knowing who he is, number one. And another thing that's very key, let your son know that he is loved the way he is and he does not need to impress anybody. Let your son know that he's valuable, he's loved, he's important, and he does not need to prove anything to anybody. What those people take advantage of are boys who tell them, become like us. So when you become like us, you are now somebody, you are now special. Let your son know he's special from home, and nobody else validates him more than God and you that has given birth to him. So that's the way to help your son, go over peer pressure.
That's it.
Thank you very much. Adeline, you want to add something?
No, that's it. I think he just said it perfectly. I mean, I'll just give a very short example. When we moved back from Africa to the UK, my son was was struggling to adapt, struggling to adapt the change, making new friends. And I really realized at that time that his confidence level was really damped, and because it was difficult for him to leave from the African setting to the European setting and adapting to all this change, I really understood. So what Deji has just explained, it's a kind of description of what I went through as a mom, and some of the things that he actually said are some of the things that I did. But some of the things that he has said again are things that I think I'm going to continue using that strategy to see how I can make him be an even better person, an even much more confident person. And thank you so much. I think that point was really spot on. Very.
Thank you so much. And let me just give you, so I look at, I see people who live maybe in the US or in the UK, for instance. Some boys, they've been living in the US for, I mean, since they give, since their birth. And you see them proper prime, well dressed, no piercing, nothing. And then you see one who left Nigeria 2 years ago, going very irate. And you're asking yourself, you think, oh, when you raise a child in Africa or in Nigeria, automatically that child should imbibe those cultures. No. As parents, we have a lot to do when it comes to peer pressure. One of the things you should tell your sons, they should never seek validation from anyone. Let them know that they are enough on their own. You don't need to have sex with a girl to be complete. You don't need to smoke weed to prove a point. You don't need to run away from school, skip classes to then prove that you are a boy. No. Let them know that those things are not characteristic. I mean, if we talk about the man box, we will understand all of that. I think that would even be probably our next focus. So, you know, when you tell your boys and from home, they go confidently to the society. There is a lot of things that will not matter to them. There's a lot of stories they will hear that will not make sense to them. Because from home, you already have strong values. So quickly, I'll go to our next question. This says, our boys spend a better part of their day, school term, with their teachers and school colleagues. How are we doing enough to educate our kids' schools, or are schools educating our boys as expected? Well, let me take that question and I'll throw it open to our schools are not doing enough, and it's not their fault. Schools are academic spaces where, I mean, 80% of what is taught is strictly book knowledge. Maybe along the line, when they have assemblies, they admonish them, talk to them about morals, etc. The curriculum never teaches social skills, life skills that help survival. Girls are able to fit better into the society because of the way we raise girls. And because a lot of advocacy is going on in the girl space, which has opened up the purpose of a girl beyond the kitchen, beyond having kids, beyond having a family, to include having career, having, you know, so much so to do in life. But unlike the boys are socialized to believe that all they can do is just make money. Well, I mean, that is even if they have a chance. Some boys are not even socialized to know that they should be responsible. So when you have those when you say school will never give you an adequate, that adequate knowledge a boy needs to fit well into the society. And that's why we have so many dysfunctional boys, because from home, most of them are not well brought up. So it is our responsibility, and that is why Welead decided to bridge that gap by going to schools. We teach about 10 courses in schools, 10 courses which covers emotional intelligence, leadership, failing forward, critical thinking, masculinity and sexuality, where we ask them, what does it really mean to be a man? And when you hear what boys say, you will cringe. We teach them peer pressure, so many things that schools will never handle. Why can't school handle them? The teachers are not equipped. Just like you and I, who went through 2 hours of counseling before parenting. That is what most teachers went through. They really do not, they don't have the capacity to give to these children or to these boys what we think they should. So I'll throw it back to Deji. Deji, please add value to this question. What are we doing? What can we do? What can teachers do enough? Can school do enough?
I totally agree with you that we need to view schooling, what they go to do at school, as just, is schooling. I won't call it an education. Education is when you understand how to navigate through life. And most of the time, what they teach you in school, you're not even able to apply it, especially in Africa, where it's just a lot of copy and paste. Thank God for people like Adeline who have traveled to where, it's practical, it's hands-on. Here in Africa, a lot of times our education is still based on a lot of theory that no longer work. So when we expose our children to this 8 to 2 or 8 to 3 that they go to do, it's just to put information in their head. Information is not the same thing as education. Information that cannot be translated to know what to do in a real life situation is not education. So I think we have a parenting problem. And if you take me back to what you said, number one, I believe that premarital counseling should be nothing less than 1 year intensive, so that people who want to get married know that what they're getting into, because the step 2 is important. Parenting class should also be nothing less than 1 year intensive, because that's where we just miss it, and we just have a lot of people who are educated, who have gone to school, who have money, and who are giving back to children, and they don't know what to do. And they're clueless like people like us, because, like you said, exactly. 2 hours, 3 hours exactly. There. What does that do? So, I mean, you something you do the rest of your life. And you can imagine the responsibility of bringing another human being into the world and raising them up to be a success. That's a lot of work. And that is not a job, a responsibility for babies or people who have no capacity. I mean, it's just like ruining somebody's life out of your own responsibility or ignorance. And you don't want to do that. So what do? You need to train such a person to be able to do a good job. Like I said, it needs to be intentional and needs to be consistent. So that's why I'm saying, parenting classes should be compulsory. It should be not less than 1 year intensive. And it should be consistent and it should be intentional. So going back to the conversation again, so if you have this as your backdrop, you will know from day one that social skills, life skills, real education, applying everyday skills, all those things are your responsibility. Just forget whatever you are paying at your school, either in Nigeria or UK, anywhere. Just forget whatever you are paying them. Just know that you need to create time out of your own busy schedule to sit down with your son and say, what do you really know, about this? What do you know about this? What's your view about this? Get feedback, know where they are, and you will be shocked that what you teach them as regards real life issues is what they will take forward, and not that 2 + 2 they teach them that they're looking for the relevance in real life. So I think if parents understand that it is our job to educate our children, then we will create time to do it intentionally, and we will not, believe that, oh, praise God, some people have taken stress off us 8 to 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. every day. We will understand that they're just going there to be somewhere, pick social skills and some other things they can pick there, but the real education, for a child is from the home. And that's why when a child becomes a success or it becomes a failure, they point to the home, and the school is, probably second or third thing they point to. But initially, they say, whose son is that, or whose son is that? Which family does this child belong to? When he fails or when he succeeds, so it lets you know where the box stops. So if the box stops with us, we need to roll up our sleeves and see how to augment, whatever they are said. Or we do it this way from a project management perspective. We are the ones educating. The schools are just adding their own input. That's how I will see it. We are the ones educating our children. The schools are just adding their input.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Deji. Thank you very much. And I think we've answered all of the questions. It's been a very exciting time, I must say. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. And I'm sure everyone here enjoyed themselves also. We intend to do this, from time to time. Why did we even start this? Because, everybody was just jumping on webinar and we were very quiet. But when International Boys Day celebration came, and we knew that, oh, this is the day where, we can also hold our own, we thought, okay.
You didn't answer Oladuni's question. Sorry, Dayo, you need to check Oladuni's question. So she just mentioned that you have to answer her question.
She didn't answer my last question. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, let me see. Okay, my husband believes it's the job of the mom to raise the kids. So my kids are always around me. However, I'm still blamed by him and my in-laws for pampering and babying them because they are emotional. Is this okay? Oh, Adeline, please, can you go?
I think the first thing you need to, what I see here, the problem I see here, is when you say he thinks it's your job. I feel that is so unfair of him, because it is both of you your responsibility. And I mean, I don't want to go to the extended family who blames, because they really have very little to contribute in how you raise your son. But I feel that there's an issue here, and this issue simply means you need to align responsibilities. Your husband needs to understand the role that he plays in your kids' lives. You need to tell him, you need to make sure he understands. Sometimes when it's and homework, not wishing. So automatically I know that is my husband's job. I have there are things that I do which are my own responsibilities, and he has his own. If he's not available tomorrow, definitely I'll be able to do that. So the question you need to ask yourself is, what if you're not there tomorrow? What happens to your sons? Once you can answer that question, then you will know what you need to do next. If you need to involve him, or if you need to just let him be. Because this is really personal. There is no wrong or right answer, but I would
Yeah, well,
say
Yes.
the
I
answer
think
yeah.
question lies in you.
I think they
To be
too
to
should
be
address
honest,
that question, because
to be
this is a
honest,
very major question.
Deji?
yeah. You see, to be honest, it's a patriarchy construct that it is a woman's job to bring up the children. It's a mentality that runs across Africa, and with all due respect, it's a very wrong mentality. You know, it's both parents' job to bring responsibility. Sorry, to bring up a child. It's both parents,
Exactly.
and so it will not be responsible. And I use that with all due respect. It will not be responsible for any man to say that it's the woman's job to bring up the child. That is not normal. And that's why we are doing what we're doing, so that women can know that those constructs are not constructs that are general to everybody. It's not every man that believes that. I have a string of friends who do not subscribe to that mentality. So women need to begin to know that men who say that are just giving excuses not to be involved in the lives of their children. And it goes back to one of the questions that, I think the lady that said she has 3 sons raised. You find out that a lot of men are just physically available, but emotionally unavailable, at home. You find out that we're physically present, but we're emotionally absent, apart from the fathers who are physically absent, emotionally absent. Many boys and children are growing up in homes where fathers are physically there, but they're emotionally absent. And time after time, is that emotional, is that connect, is that relationship children are looking forward to. And the men are not there to give it in this guise of, I'm looking to go and look for the money that I used to take care of you. Children define love by time spent. Emotional connect is how children, male or female, define love. So if you are not there, then the children don't feel loved, and overburden the parent who is available to give the time and to give the love. And the issue is that is why we need to have conversations like this, and that's why we need to encourage men to begin to, come to some of the men meetings we're having now, to begin to sit down with them, show them who we are, to say, hey, excuse me, I run a TV station, and I'm a speaker, and I travel around the world speaking and doing, and I still have time with my son, I still have time with my children. So what excuse do you have? How busy are you that people like us and some other people around us are not as busy as well? So it's a construct that we want to see the end to. And what I can just advise is 2 things. Number one, sit down, like Adeline has said before, and try to have a conversation with him and let him know what is important for you to be in the life of your children and how important that emotional connect is, because the role of a father is key. You see, when a father doesn't play his role in the life of a child, that void will be there. Girls will go out at a young age and give sex to get this love that was not given by the father. Boys will go out and join gangs and join cults to get this love the father did not give. That father consent, that father validation is so key in the life of a child. It is key. Like I normally would tease. If you give birth to a child today, research has shown that 80% out of 100, the first word that a child most likely will pronounce is dada instead of mama.
Dada, exactly.
You just say dada. And even though he's not at home, why do they say dada first? Even though he's not even there. It just shows you that even the child knows source. He knows where the authority is. It knows where everything is coming down from. He can sense it, you know. So the approval of dada is important from day one. So if daddy is not there to give approval, that's what makes our children go on this long, you know, trajectories of looking for identity, looking for love, looking for validation, looking for affirmation that gets them into trouble. So men need to know that if you don't bring this into the life of your children, you're already raising dysfunctional children and you're just causing trouble for yourself and for your wife and for your family in the future. So we shouldn't let men off the hook. We should try and, you know, talk to them as, you know, respectfully as possible, you know, be talking about
Pin
honor.
them down.
Yeah, or just look them in the face and say, hey, bros. But also you can get somebody who, because, you know, we're the ones who sit down with grown-up men today who are still looking for approval from their dad. I mean, we sit down with grown-up men today who cry and say, my father was never there, and this man is long gone. I lived to get his approval because he didn't give it to me. You know, I mean, you see grown-up men break down and cry. So another thing we normally say is that look for somebody who can speak with him, his dad, his closest friend, or somebody he can be accountable with. Let that person speak with him and say, Oga, you know, these things, and this mentality is that, you know, we've been trained that these things are feminine things. These things are not important. These things are for women. You know, they're not important. Love is not a weak conversation. Love is a strong conversation. It's the essence of life.
And just so I add to what you've said, you need to understand your husband. Understand your husband. Once you understand your husband, trust me, he'll be happy to do whatever you want him to do for the kids. Don't just understand him in the other side, you know, the other side of, you know, understand him when it comes to raising the kids. Find out his challenges, ask him questions, listen to him. Once you understand him, trust me, he'll be doing all the things that you want him to do for your kids. But the first thing is it has to begin with you. You've identified the problem. That is good. How do you solve that problem? That's the ball in your court. So we want to hear positive feedback from you when next we are having a show like this.
Yeah, very true.
So much. Thank you very much. I'm full and I'm full and running over. Thank you. I would like to thank people who joined later. Thank you, Ramokade Shete. We are very grateful. Thank you, Olu. We have Olaolu Asalako. We have Ola Inka, Ogbeta Fumi. Thank you so much, England. Oh, England is one of our directors. Thank you so much. The other side of our Africa, French, English. Thank you so much, England. Thank you, Kemi F. Thank you, everybody that has been part of this. I see a connection that shows only Galaxy S9. Thank you very much. Thank you, Auntie Christine, Mrs. Okubo. We are very grateful. Mrs. Okubo is one of our facilitators. She's one of the people who have been, you know, following up on this program and adding value, both in as facilitators and even behind the scenes.
Very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bolaji Bayewu. Thank you
We
so
appreciate
much.
you, Daya. Thank you for all that you're doing.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy. I'm so grateful. They're just going to wrap up this session. I don't know if you can still see my screen. Let me see if I can still share it. We went off briefly. I will try and share it again just as we wrap up. Thank you so much. So can you see my screen?
Yes, I
can. You can see the screen. Thank you so much. So, I mean, why did we start this conversation? Like I was saying before, there was a lot of clamor. People started saying, "Oh, in fact, after we completed." Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can now.
Okay. So who have been calling? We want you to start a mentoring for boys, even outside school. People have said, "Oh, create a platform. I mean, WhatsApp or anyone, just create something that individuals can then put their boys in that program and they can go through the whole of the Welead curriculum, which you know that any boy that goes through this curriculum, I mean, will be a better boy, no matter what, be a better boy. So we said, let's start this conversation with parents, because we know that this year, one of our goals this year was to have a parenting conference with any purpose. So if you are training a school, we're planning to also have a parent, because once you train a boy and the boy goes back to the same setting, which is not productive, whatever we teach that boy, I mean, may be counterproductive also, because there is no follow-through process from home. So it's good that we're having this session. I mean, it's in line. And we hope to have this session every month. I think monthly will be good. If you have another suggestion, let us know. If you want it to be bi-weekly, for instance. But I think for now, we should have monthly sessions where we'll deal with real boy issues. And these issues are enormous. Deji mentioned something, the man box. The man box is a topic on its own. Trust me, peer pressure is a topic on its own. The day we took substance abuse in schools, I knew the reactions we got. Just taking substance abuse, it is tough. If you know what these boys are going through, your boy at home, you see everyday smile. They have their walls that they go through. So we'll continue this conversation. We'll reach out to all everyone that has joined for our next month, for the conversation for next month. And we're asking, if you want to be part of this program, you want to volunteer, I mean, you can reach out to me. If you the screen we are sharing, you can reach out to me on dial.oladele.ilori@gmail.com. You can reach out to me by my phone, 090-98771-777. I will take that again, 090-98771-777. You can reach out to me if you have any concerns. And if you want your boy to be on our program, which you want to start, also reach out to us. We are willing to take in as much as 10, 15 boys for a start. And we'll have people like Dejirawo, people like Mrs. Okubo. They will log in and teach boys different topics. Thank you so much. So much. I'm really, really
Thank you,
grateful.
Dayo.
Thank you very much, Adeline.
Thank
I enjoyed
you.
every bit of it. Thank you to
Thank
all
you so
participants. And on this note, we are calling it a day. Feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you all.
Bye. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.
It was nice to meet everybody.